So if you look in the past and you see all the DmC games, you'll see that there's pretty much 6 or I think 7 or a few, but there's a lot, right? And if you notice the character Dante, well, he's got white hair and he's got a big trench coat. But what you notice is in the DmC game, which is a 2013 reboot, he's actually very different. And no one likes this Dante in this format because his whole character simply removes what was built before and starts something new. Now we know this is a reboot because it's a DmC, Devil May Cry. It's a 2013 reboot and it was released after Devil May Cry 4. But even in a reboot, Dante is completely a different person. But you'll only notice this if you're aware of the series, as in if you're aware of the previous games. Now me personally, when I first played this game, it was the first DmC game I played. So I pretty much treated it as that because I hadn't known what Dante was before and it was a different experience. If I knew what I knew back then, I'd probably be a bit mad that they sort of changed Dante into this character. But honestly, the game was a lot of fun, and I'll explain why. The whole combat, the whole fighting system, it's very sort of rewarding because you're faced with a lot of weapons. And in doing so, you're able to create lots of combos. The gameplay is very fun. The colors are very bright as well, which I should add. The tone of the game, it's very fast paced, and that's pretty much what I enjoy. The game pretty much doesn't really try to hold your hand, but it sort of gives you the ability to explore your weapons and see what becomes your fighting style. Now why I like this is because there's so many weapons in the game. It's so fun. When you look at other games like the Batman games, the Spider-Man games, you're pretty much limited to what you have. Whereas with the DmC game, you know, you pretty much have access to a wide variety of weapons. And it's pretty much very fun. Not only that, but the replayability. Now you'll notice with all the DmC games is that they all have a replayability mode, which is essentially harder difficulties on New Game Plus. And that can start from Son of Sparta all the way to Hell and Hell. Now with these game modes, because you can keep all your weapons and all your abilities, it becomes very fun. The replayability honestly is very rewarding. So it is a fun game overall. But a few years later, when Devil May Cry 5 released, I realized why people hate the game, or why people hate DmC, to be specific. And I realized, well, it's not part of the game series. You know, Dante isn't that character. Dante is not some edgy guy that's, you know, sort of alone and abandonment. He's someone that's very cocky. He's someone that's very, you know, confident in himself. But this Dante that we had in DmC was a completely different Dante. And not only that, but there was no really other characters. Sure, you had Virgil, but Virgil was his brother. Whereas other games like Lady and Trish weren't even included. So if you consider this game as a standalone game that isn't tied to the DmC series, it's a very fantastic game. It's a lovely game. I enjoy it. But its downfall was that it had too many complaints. Everyone hated the game until they realized how good it was. But by then it was too late. Now, the whole combat, the whole game itself is a very rewarding game. It's a very fun game. But the only concern was people didn't enjoy the character himself. And that's what led to them disbanding the game and continuing on with the Devil May Cry series, which we're currently number 5. And number 5 is a very good game. Actually, I prefer it much more than DmC. But that isn't to say DmC is a bad game. It's a very good game. I enjoy it. It's just better if it was a standalone game, not tied to the DmC series. So, thank you.